This week we are working on Excel Module 4. So as we're going through Excel Module 4, we are working a lot on creating charts and graphs and learning how to style the charts and graphs and create things like trend lines and all kinds of different things like that. So what I'm working through today is I'm going through the notes and I'm using the examples from the assignment in Project A that you'll be completing later on this week. So going through my notes, it starts out on creating charts. So to create a chart, one item that you'll be using is something that you've done in the past few modules in selecting an adjacent range. One thing that I've found when I create charts and graphs and things like that is it's easier to select your ranges of your data first before you go into insert your chart and graph, because it just makes more sense to select the data first. And so let's go in and create an example of that first. So what I'm going to be doing is selecting a range of data. So I'm highlighting the range of data that I want to use. So in this example, I've got the range E5 through E9 selected. And then I also want to select an adjacent range. And remember, to select an adjacent range, all I'm going to do is simply hold down my control key. And that way I'll be able to select an adjacent range of data. And in this case, I'm selecting A5 through A9. So again, all I did was hold down the control key, use my mouse to highlight A5 through A9. And now I've got A5 through A9 and E5 through E9 highlighted. And now what I want to do is, from my ribbon along the top of Excel, I'm going to go over to the Insert tab. And then I'll go to the Chart group, which is right here. And you have all of these different options over here in the chart group. You can, from there, you can select whatever type of chart you want to use, or you can go to something called the recommended charts. Sometimes your the assignment you're working on will tell you specifically which item to go to, and sometimes you'll have that option, just like we've talked about before. There's several different ways you can do these assignments a lot of times, but if your instructions tell you a specific way to do it, please go by what the instruction tells you. I've been doing these SAM MindTap assignments for a few weeks now, so hopefully you're getting the hang of how the assignments work and how the directions are working. But in this case, it's telling me to go to recommended charts. So I'm going to double click that. And then a lot of times your chart option will be at the very beginning. Sometimes you'll have to scroll down a little bit to find the one you're looking for. But a lot of times it'll be the first one. But in this case, what I'm looking for is a 2D chart. Sometimes you can scroll over here to the all chart to find your 2D chart. So you'll just select the one that you're looking for and it'll pop up on your screen. And this one, in this case, is a pie chart. So I'm going to go under pie, and then that's the only chart that's available on here. Well, I guess I do have a few different. This is a pie chart, a 3D, a pie, bar pie, donut. So you've got all the different ones. So this one is my 2D pie chart. So I'm going to select that. So this gives me my chart. So this brings me to another option to moving a chart. So when I get ready to move my chart, I'm simply going to select the chart. I'm going to click inside the chart to select it. I can go up here to the chart tools. And anytime I'm working in a chart, if I click outside of the chart, you just have your normal bar up here at the top. But if I select the chart, look at these options I have up here. Anytime I click in that chart to select it, I have these chart tool options that appear. And those options, see, those options aren't available if I don't have my chart selected. But Excel's pretty cool about that. When you have an item like a chart selected, you have chart tools that appear. So that's pretty awesome, huh? So I've got a design window that appears, and I've got a format window that appears. So that's just for styling, designing, and formatting my chart. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Chart Tools Design tab. I can go to the location group, which is right here on the end, and I can move my chart. From here, I can go to a new sheet, and I can tell it to create a new sheet. I can move it to a location in this sheet, or I can move it to another sheet. So that's how one easy way to move your chart around is just going to the Design, Chart Tools Design tab, go to the location, and then moving your chart. So again, I can move this to anywhere else. I can move it to another workbook. I can move it, create a new sheet. I can move it as an object in this sheet to another sheet tab. Okay, so that's a way that you can move this. Okay, get out of this and we will go in and look at something else here. So when I am creating a cluster, okay, we already did that. Okay, resize and reposition a chart. So we've created a chart, and say I want to move this chart and reposition it. Sometimes it'll tell you to reposition your chart after you've moved it, and let me just bring it back up. So say it's telling me to move this chart. You can also drag it. You don't have to always use that format to move it. So say I want to move it over here, and maybe it told me to move it to say S10 or something, S10 to S30 or W30, I don't know. You can use the arrows on the side to move it, but if you want to get it specifically within a range, one way you can do that is to hold down your Alt key as you're dragging, and it will snap it into that location where you're dragging it. See how when I hold down my Alt key, how it perfectly fits into those squares? So if it gives you a specific range to move a chart into, hold down that Alt key and it just kind of snaps it into that perfect square of a location. And that way you have it just right. You can see over here these charts that they've positioned for you. See how they're not always all the way to the edges? You don't always have to have it snapped in exactly in the right edges. So don't think that you have to have it absolutely perfect. I mean, if they tell you to have it within a range, you know, you can kind of play around with it because it doesn't always have to be absolutely perfect. Just make sure you have it within those cells. But using that Alt key does help me line it up. I'm kind of OCD about stuff like that, and that helps me make sure I have it exactly in the right position, especially if you're kind of far away from the actual row. And sometimes when I'm trying to make sure I have it exactly where I wanted it, if I wanted it in like the 10th row or something like that, or this column, I can just double check and make sure that I had it lined up where I wanted it. Because if it told me to be in row 10 and I'm above row 10, then I may get counted off for that. So I could come back down here and drag it back down and make sure I'm in row 10 and then just highlight. And all I did was selected the number over here, and that made sure that I had it in that range where I wanted it. Okay. Let's look and see what else. Okay, whenever you're working with a chart title, if you need to edit a chart title, all you have to do is simply select that chart title. So all I did was I clicked inside the chart And then I just selected the chart title. Now to type a new name, you see nothing's really happening on my chart, but you can see it up here in the status bar. I'm writing Ms. Shaw up here, but you don't see anything happening down here in this chart, do you? Okay, but when I hit enter, Ms. Shaw comes up down here. And let me show you that one more time. So I selected my chart to make it active. I clicked on the chart title, which it highlighted it, so that box is around the chart title. And all I'm doing is starting to type. Okay, you see it up here in the status bar, and you don't see anything happening here. So just pay attention to what you're typing in the status bar. When you hit enter, it's going to appear in your chart. Okay, now you can double click down here in your chart if you want to see what's coming up in your chart title, and you can type that way if you would like to. But I always like just typing up here in the status bar. And you know, you can't see what's happening down here until you hit enter, but it makes it a lot quicker to go, and everything's going to appear and stuff. But however it's easier for you, there's two different ways you can do that. Let's see, adding data labels. I can see which one we want to go to on this. We're going to go over to this worksheet to look at data labels. And this one is, I think the example we're looking at is off of number 13 in here for data labels. We're going over to the other sheet, to the bond offering sheet, to look at data labels here. So what data labels are just okay, we're going to select this chart to make it active. And we're going to go up to, okay, let me explain what these are. These are some quick access tools that you can use when you're working in your chart. The first one is going to be your chart element button. This is the little plus sign over here to the right. The second one is going to be your style. This is the little paintbrush. Think of a paintbrush as something you could style your chart with. And then the third one is going to be your chart filter. Okay, so these are little quick access items that you can use to change items in your chart. You also have these same items up here from the Chart Tools Design tab. Okay, so you have these same items like your chart elements are up here under the element, and your styling items are right here under the styles tab. Okay, and then your filters, a lot of these are up here as well under, you know, like formats and things like that. But these are just a quick way that you can access those if you don't want to go through all of this. So again, that's two different ways that you can get to it. So if I'm going to go to my chart elements, one quick way I can do that, you always want to select your chart, highlight your chart to make it active. And then I'm going to click on my chart element button. And this is the plus sign to the right. And for data labels, what I'm going to do is just select it right here. I'm going to click on that arrow over to the right. And we're going to click on the more options. And then this is going to bring up a whole nother option over here for us to format these data labels. Okay, you get a whole nother selection of fill. You get like your fill and line options. You'll have your effects in here, the size and properties, and then your label options will come up. And the label options is what we're in right now. So we're looking for center, inside end, inside base, outside end. You have all kinds that you can view over here. And I believe in this one, trying to remember which one they were asking us to do on this. I guess it was just asking us to do the data labels and then use the legend key. I think we're just supposed to use the legend here. So it brought up our legend down here at the bottom. But anyway, I was just trying to show you an example of everything that, all these options you have. And again, you have all these options up here as well. It's the same type of options that you see in both places. So it's just two different ways that you can get to that. Some other items, again, the style options you have, you're gonna select the chart, click on the chart to select it. Let me go back over to this projection. And if we're going to style this chart, you can style it here. You'll scroll down until you find the style or the color that you're going to change it to. And I believe you're supposed to change the color in this one. So you'll follow the directions on how to do that, or you can do it from the ribbon up here and you can select the chart style and the color from that option. Okay, so that's two different ways that you can do that, either from right here on the paintbrush, or you can go up here from the design tab to the color and the style. Okay, so that's how you're going to change the coloring. When you format the chart area, oh, we just talked about that. Again, the format the chart area over here will come up when you double click. Anytime you double click inside, this format chart area will come up, and I talked about those options over there. You can change access titles, change horizontal and vertical access and things like that. Again, items like that can come up here if you're changing access titles. You've got primary horizontal, primary vertical, secondary horizontal, secondary vertical, and then you've got more access title options. So find what it's talking about and then click or hover over the little arrow and it gives you more options over here to the right. And then you've always got more options over here. If you double click inside your chart, it'll bring up more options in the chart area over to the right. Okay, data bars. Let's talk about data bars a little bit. This is at the very beginning of your project. And I think this is on the spending tab. Scroll over here so we can see. Okay, data bars and trend lines and things like that. So the way you're going to be doing this is you'll be selecting the range where you want to show your data bars at. So how you'll do this is you'll select the range where you want your data bars to show up at. And from the conditional formatting, so it's from the Home tab in your Styles group, you'll select conditional formatting. And then all you do is select your data bars here. And then you can change what type of fill it is or your color scheme or whatever it may be in this. In this one, I believe it's just solid fill and you're using blue for the data bars here. And then in this one, a trend line, you'll select trend line, or you'll select the area. Let me make sure. Okay, should have done this before. You're going to select the area where your trend line is going to go. And then, and this is for spark lines. Okay, this is what spark lines look like. I'm going to select the area where my spark lines are going to go. And then I'm going to select the data. Okay, so I'm going to select the area. And then I'm going to go to Insert. And from Insert, I'm going to add in my spark lines for that. So you see my lines. I have line spark line. I've got column spark lines because I think you're going to be using both of those in here, but I'm going to insert line spark lines. In my data range, I'm going to go ahead and select the data for the range for my spark lines. And then you can select your location range where it's going to be located. Whoops, do that right. I'm going to select my data range first, and then okay. So if you highlight where you want them to be placed first, and then you select your spark lines. Let me go back and do that again. Let me delete that out. Oops, I guess it's not letting me delete it. Sorry, I was trying to, I'm gonna try to show you all how to, because it's not letting me delete that right now. But anyway, I like to highlight the area first where my spark lines are going to go. And then when I go to the Insert tab, and then I choose my spark lines because it's from Insert, and then you just scroll over and see the spark line and then choose what type. And in this first example, in number 2, you're going to be using spark lines. It's a line spark line. So you'll just choose that, select your data range, okay, and then click OK. And then it adds spark lines for you. And then just like when we were creating charts, you'll get spark line tools design tab. From here, you can edit the data. If you screwed up and you added an extra column and you didn't mean to add this column in there. Maybe you just wanted to add these 2 columns or something like that. You can edit the data that's in that. You can change it to a column. You can change it to all kinds of different things. You can change the style of the spark line. You can change the color. You can do all kinds of different things with spark lines, but that's how you create them. Okay. And you can also use column spark lines too, like we talked about, because you'll be creating a column spark line later on, like in, I don't remember what number, I think it's like number 9 or something. You'll create a column spark line, but you do it the same way. It's line spark lines or column spark lines. Okay, and the last item that I want to talk about, let me double check my notes and make sure, yeah. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is called a trend line. And I know this looks like a trend line, but the trend line that I want to talk about is inside of a chart. Okay, how to make a trend line in a chart. And this is what a trend line looks like inside of your chart. So how we're going to do that is all you do is you'll highlight or select your chart to make it active. Again, you'll go up to the Chart Tools Design tab, Chart Element, and then select your trend line. You can do more trend line options. In this example, we're going to be using the total. It tells you to choose total trend line. And then you get the options over here where you can change items in it. You can change, like it's the linear over here. If you're wanting to, forgot all the specifications in it, but that is how you create a trend line in a chart. We'll be adding 2 of the horizontal axis labels or data labels in it. But this is the series total is the one we're working on this, because we want the linear total for this. And I think that's all we're working with. I've had students in the past have had trouble remembering how to get to this one. So we're working trend line, and you can access it down here as well, just by doing more options. But anyway, this is the easiest way. Add chart element, go to trend line, more trend line options, and then you'll come over here, click the 3 bars over here to the right, and then you can, make sure you have all your options available. Anyway, I hope this was helpful for you. Trying to show you around, but mainly in Module 4, you're learning to create charts, style charts, how to use all the chart elements, and just mainly remember that you have these options up here. Once you select the chart, you have the Chart Tools Design tab, the Chart Tools Format tab, and then the Formatting Chart area will come up here on the side. You just double click in the chart, and this extra menu comes up here on the right hand side. Excel is so full of so many different options that we can use once you get in there and start playing around with it. It just has so many possibilities that will help you as you're using it for other classes and in your jobs that you have now and will have in the future. So hope you're learning a lot and having fun with this, and I will see you guys soon. Hope you have a great weekend.